Welcome to another infographic instance with Brian Michael. In this episode, we're going to talk about what's wrong with Hong Kong's anti-corruption corporate policies. This infographic you're looking at is part of a larger paper which assesses the role of the ICAC in promoting the adoption of anti-corruption policies and programs in corporations. Just a bit of background, companies all over the world have been adopting anti-corruption policies such as forbidding senior management from giving bribes in order to comply with domestic and international regulation. So the point of our paper is to look at the state of play now and some of the policies that the ICAC might put in place in order to facilitate the adoption of these policies, which are anyway usually required around the world. So let's turn our attention to the infographic. This infographic, with the data taken from Ethical Investment Research Services, looks at the adoption across a range of companies of ethics programs in businesses across a range of sectors. On the y-axis is the percent of companies in their survey that had various types of ethics programs. The blue represents basic ethics programs, the purple intermediate ethics programs, and the yellow, light yellow, advanced ethics programs. So we see from these data that in terms of percentages of companies adopting ethics programs, Hong Kong rates at the bottom of the list, next to our rival Singapore. This suggests that something about the policy environment is discouraging companies from adopting ethics programs. Now, turning our attention to the types of ethics programs, we see that different countries have put in place different incentives in order to encourage companies to adopt ethics programs. So, for example, if we look at the UK, it has a much larger percentage of advanced ethics programs than, let's say, the United States or Sweden, for example. Italy is another example. So when we see data like this, we want to turn our attention to the policies or incentives that encourage companies to adopt these policies. Trying to mix practical advice with academic jargon, with academic theory. The theory from this infographic is self-organizing corporate policies. And that bit of jargon, self-incentive driven self-organization, refers to the fact that companies will tend to adopt policies where they're given particular incentives to adopt those policies. So in the case of ICAC seeking to encourage companies to promote these policies, ICAC should not come out with a flyer and say, oh, companies, you have to do this, or even necessarily try and promulgate toolkits, as I know the Commission has already done. Instead, the ICAC should follow the example of the US and UK. In these two jurisdictions, lawmakers have criminalized particular types of complicity or participation in corruption by companies themselves. In other words, companies, just like individuals, can be held liable for corruption that is taking place by the company's agents. Now in Hong Kong there are no legal provisions like this. And because these incentives, we have such weak incentives for companies to comply with anti-corruption laws, we see that companies, as people in themselves, do not adopt particular policies based on the incentives that law is giving.